everyone. I'm David Hinkle here in the 2K live stream room, and I'm joined by Andrew Frederiksen.
Hello, everyone.
The lead producer on Civilization Beyond Earth: Rising Tide. Very exciting times here. We're showing off the first gameplay footage, actual in-gameplay footage of Rising Tide.
Sorry if I'm distracted. I keep looking at the
No,
game.
it's okay. Well, this
Playing
it's
it on
like,
the
do I
screen.
look at the game, the camera, the person, the ground, the sky? You know, what do you do? But no, so we're very excited today. You may have seen some YouTube videos, some coverage on various websites, but you know, we're really happy to be able to finally show you guys some gameplay footage here. And on top of that, we had some cool reveals. We showed off our second sponsor, the North Sea Alliance.
Yep.
Led by Duncan Hughes. And more specifically, why I have Andrew here is we're showing off the new diplomacy system. For me personally, it's the most exciting feature in Rising Tide. I know a lot of you guys are really hyped to see this, so you know, take it away. What's kind of the? Give me the 50,000-foot view, and then take me down into the trenches, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so the new diplomacy system really is a whole new system. It's not just a couple extra new buttons.
Right.
This is really founded on a few, big principles that guide it throughout, and one of the foremost being transparency. You know, we want you to make sure that you understand when you're playing this and you're making your decisions. Why are you making them? How is this going to affect everything for your civ, for the other civs, and also looking at why the civs are behaving the way that they are.
Okay.
So, and with that sort of guiding principle, one of the foundational elements are these new things called traits. You'll be familiar with your character's basic trait. Every character has one trait that's unique to them.
Okay, so like you start with that trait every time you start a new game.
And that is like one of the defining things of that character.
Right.
And these are all either the same as or based on their civilization bonuses from the base game. So you still get your culture bonuses for LED. You still get your food bonus as the African Union. So here with the NSA, the North Sea Alliance, not that NSA, you get a great bonus to water cities, which is probably no big surprise with the name like the North Sea Alliance.
Right, and are they the only ones that can make planetfall directly in the water, or is this available to, like, say, Alphala and any of the other?
So Alphala and the civs from the base game they will all make planetfall on land.
Okay.
The North Sea Alliance will actually be able to planetfall right into the water.
Nice.
So I like to see this is exactly what happens when this is one of our new expedition sites.
I love that you laughed at various people
this is what happens
dead in the ocean.
Well, I like to think they got out of it, but their lander wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
So, but this is what happens when other ships try and land in the water.
Don't try this at home.
So the North Sea Alliance, not only will they land in water, but they're going to get a couple of bonuses to their water cities. And there's a lot of details that go into water cities, but one of the things that they get specifically is that they can move their cities faster. And that's right, you move water cities.
Right, I know this is something that we've shown on the Fraxis live stream before.
Yeah, we showed a little bit of it, but the idea is that water cities don't grow just through culture and border growth over time. You can still buy hexes with energy, but if you want to claim more, I'm actually going to go ahead and start that with our capital city, Deep Castle, and change it from a food focus. Choose the move city, and I'm going to start taking it southeast here.
Right. And I noticed that the land there won't let you just take the city up onto land.
Yeah, you can't move it up onto land.
Okay.
And I also have not yet researched the tech that would allow me to move into the deep water over here.
Right.
But I'll probably want to do that to maybe get closer to some of these things. So I could move right onto these guys, but I'm going to actually want to improve them with my worker in just a minute.
Yeah, so you would gobble up, you would destroy that resource.
It doesn't destroy the resource, but it would destroy any improvement that I put on it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of planning ahead here. I actually left these two, this hex open so I can move into it and then keep moving without losing it. So I'm going to start the move process. And
it's a big commitment. They have to ask you, "Are you sure?"
Are you sure? Well,
it's a big commitment to move a city.
You're spending your city production, so I'm not making any units, any buildings, or anything else. But it is going to gain me when I move forward. I'm going to actually gain all 3 of these hexes around it.
Right.
So, and I'm going to retain all the other ones that I already have. So obviously you want to be careful, make sure you don't move too far away so you can still work your cities. Or I like to sometimes paint a big long line and leave cities behind, like plop out colonists and like seed the ground that I've already claimed.
Nice.
So anyway, but with this trait that the North Sea Alliance has, they also offer an agreement.
Okay.
An agreement is sort of the other half of every trait. And the agreement is something that can be purchased or rented by another civ.
Okay.
And that's going to give them a bonus.
Okay, so do you have any kind of examples? Like an agreement would be, say, like 5 energy per turn for, you know.
It's a little. They're actually that would be closer to the old diplomacy system. I've actually got one pending in the game right now, so you can see by this notification that another leader wants to make an agreement with me.
Okay.
So when I open it up, Arshia Kishk here is saying that she wants to buy this to rent this agreement for me, that her units would move faster on roads and mag rails, and I will get 3 diplomatic capital per turn. So she's kind of renting it from me.
Right. And right now you're producing 10, so you know 3 is a pretty sizable increase at this point in the game.
Pretty sizable increase, and it we're early in the game. You can see by mousing over, she's neutral. Sure, we'll go ahead and we'll do that. I think this looks good.
Okay. Now, these kind of agreements, I mean, she's neutral right now. If you have kind of a hostile relationship with anybody, I assume obviously you can't enter agreements, but if you have a positive relationship or a neutral relationship, will that change the yields in any way? Or
some agreements are gated on having a certain level of agreement, so you'll have to be either cooperative or allied to be able to use it. Other agreements simply get better with a better agreement. So this particular one, if we go and become cooperative, she'll actually, I think it jumps up by another 15%. So she'd get 45% increase.
Okay, so there's quite a bit of variety there. It sounds like, as opposed to before where it's like, hey, let's enter a peace treaty, and it's like, okay, cool, now we're buddies. But with this, it's like an added extra layer of depth to kind of your interaction with these other civilizations.
Yeah, and multiple people can buy this. I actually believe Fielding. No, who was it? No, Dao Ming here. She already is. You can see right here. She's actually already purchased that earlier, a few turns back. So they're both renting this from me, and that's helping to make our relationship better. And they're going to be more likely to not want to break an agreement, so they're going to want to stay at least neutral, if not get better.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take a look. And now, since I've got 128 capital, and I'm now making a little bit more, I'm going to go see what agreements I can do. So I'm going to browse all potential agreements here.
Okay, nice.
So I can see these are all the different things. It's going to cost me a little bit of a lump sum initially to buy into the agreement, and then I'll have to pay it sort of an upkeep for as long as I want to have it.
Right.
But a leader is going to respect me more when I engage in a trade agreement with them.
I kind of like that. I mean, it's it is a little bit risky to have to pay that sum up front, but that's like that correlation to real life, to making investments and agreements with people is very sound. Like, I like that idea.
Yeah.
You're taking a risk almost, but the rewards are obviously worth it in most cases, I would imagine.
So I'm going to go ahead and buy. Rent this one from Hutama.
Oh, you got to get a tax haven.
This looks like a good deal. We're done. So I now have an agreement with Hutama.
Okay. You're just wheeling and dealing on this new world here. I like it.
Yeah. But now I can make another trade unit, and I can start doing more trade with other civs or stations or my own towns. And the other thing that you can do with diplomatic capital is, if you go and look, you can manage your traits.
Okay.
So you start. Here's his character trait that he began with. That's increased move speed for my city and increased combat strength for my aquatic cities. So I've also bought this trait earlier. So I bought a domestic trait. But right now I still have 2 other trait slots that I can fill, and there's different flavors of traits that fill into these. So different civs will everyone has the same catalog to choose from, but everyone sort of has their own flavor.
Right.
That they won't always pick the same thing, but they'll tend to. It'll change based on situation.
And will they respond or treat you differently based on what these are? Like, some people may, look at industrialists and say, I don't like industry, so I'm going to treat you differently from a trait perspective.
Right. So you can look at these, and you can sometimes you can kind of infer sometimes what things people are going to care about. So Susan Fielding here cares about covert operations. So getting engaged in some spy work is probably going to garner me some respect with her. And I can see that right now she's got 3 respect, but she's got 2 fear. So fear and respect are these indicators of where we stand, and they gate my relationship. Oh, that's services. They gate my relationship. So right now you can see that we're neutral, but if I want to go up to cooperative, then I got to have either 3 respect or 3 fear.
Wow.
and then then I can propose the change. Right now, it's not shown here, but these are going to cost me diplomatic capital to engage in this.
Okay.
Not to her, just to engage in. Okay, I want to make this change.
Yeah, and it's a good point to remind that this is obviously not finished game.
Yep.
You guys are still working on this really hard.
Yeah, I'm aware these lines here. We'll be fixing those. Don't worry.
Okay.
So all kinds of little things and some balance changes going on to how fear and respect work. But this is going to tell me that okay, cool, I can save up, and since this build isn't requiring it, I'll go ahead and become cooperative with her just for fun. And she'll say she's pleased by this, and I accept. And now we got this half circle, so you can see that we're cooperating.
Oh, okay.
And if I click on her, I can now look at her relationship status with other people, and I can see Dao Ming's relationship. So you can start to draw the lines and cross-reference who's friends with who, who's enemies with who. Do I want someone so to respect me, or if they like me, how's this all gonna?
Yeah, it's like a real political metagame that you kind of got on here. Although it's not a metagame, it's in the game. It's part of the game. It is a vital component to the game.
It's showing. It's that transparency that I talked about. It's showing you where everyone stands without having to sort of guess or remember. You can always come back in here and do your analysis and pretty quickly see where everyone is standing. And we haven't seen any yet, but we're going to get communiques that'll show up right down here. And these are little, almost like text messages that pop up from leaders saying like, hey, I really like your production rate. Keep that going. I'm proud of you. And the respect for me will go up.
Oh, okay.
Or like, we've noticed that you're actually not feeding your people well. So, you should fix your food rate. My respect goes down. So I can choose to react to those, or I can choose to ignore them, depending on whether or not that's someone I want to have a good relationship with. And I can react to it by changing my city production, my buildings, or I can come into diplomacy and, shop for I can look at what Dao Ming's got and say, okay, well, do I want to buy any of your agreements? Do I want to, or I can look at other people and buy in and start shaping the landscape by who I engage with, who I don't engage with. All that kind of.
That's crazy. I mean, and the important thing I think too is to focus on the fact that this isn't going to play out the same way each time you play.
Right.
Even though these individuals, come in with this kind of base trait, it's very dynamic in that every game that you play, they're going to go in different directions, not only based on what their goals are in that current situation, but also as a reaction to what you are doing.
And just not just me, but the aliens, what world we're on, what bonuses they already have, and who their allies are. And so you're going to see like small choices will have ripple effects. So you'll want to think about, by getting engaged with these guys earlier, I now am making a little bit more capital, or I have more capital per turn to spend on agreements. So you're choosing when and where to invest and how to spend it. So it's a whole other sort of diplomatic economy that you're dealing with on top of the relationships that you have to manage.
Wow.
And it's one of the things that I like to point out how even if you don't come in here, even if you're not doing agreements, even if you're kind of staying neutral and staying out of it, and you reject agreements that come at you, you're still going to earn diplomatic capital from some of the buildings that you have, from the wonders that you can build, and you're going to still want to use that diplomatic capital to upgrade, to buy new traits, to upgrade your traits, so you can still be sort of a isolated diplomatic entity. But when you do that, you're still diplomatic capital is still something that matters to you. So diplomacy is something that's a critical part of every game, not just for the people who like trade, not just for the people who want to be allies and do their transcendence victory off in the corner without getting into war. Whether you're at war or you're friendly with everybody, diplomacy is still a game that you're playing. It's still a field that you're involved with.
Yeah, even when you're isolated like that, you're affecting the world through those choices, and you can't help but have to react to how the world is growing around you as well.
We got our first communique right there. Hutama just told us that he was happy with the agreement.
Nice. Here I expected it to be a tweet.
Yeah.
Twitter survives in the future, right?
Not quite that strong, but if I open up Hutama, I can now see he's showing me right here I got an increase in respect.
Nice.
And I can see exactly why. I know why I'm standing there, and the progress that will eventually, if we keep this kind of relationship up and do more things that he likes, then Hutama's gonna be my buddy.
Game, respect, game. Indeed. Cool. Well, is there anything else you think we should discuss as far as diplomacy goes?
Wow, that's without going.
I mean, you gave a very good, succinct rundown. It's almost as if you've said this many, many times.
I've talked about it a few times. Yeah, I think that's sort of the very large nutshell of diplomacy. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more about choosing when do you equip your traits, when do you spend your diplomatic capital on buying agreements, do you spend it on buying your traits, so more people, you'll have more agreements to offer, so more people will buy in with you.
Right.
So it's a lot of sort of. There's going to be a lot of theory crafting going on and arguments over which is the right way to do it or which is the best way, and that's sort of the lifeblood of a Civ game.
That is Civ, indeed.
Everyone's got the right way to do it, and everyone else does it wrong.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate the overview of diplomacy, and Beyond Earth: Rising Tide launches this fall, 2015, and you should definitely buy it. Very unbiased opinion of mine.
I think it's great.
I think it's pretty great. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Wait.